Welcome to The Big Break Show, a podcast where we discuss short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, life, mindset, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Rafa, Loza, and Jesse Vasquez.
What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of The Big Break Show. After taking quite a hiatus on vacation, my co-host, Mr. Jesse Vasquez, is back with me. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? I'm back with you. You're freaking back with me because I've been sitting here while you've been traveling the globe. This guy's been living the jet setter's lifestyle in Paris, in Amsterdam, smoking big old joints, coming back over here, living the dream. I'm jealous. And yeah, dude, so you've been the one that's MIA. Welcome back, dude.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Disclosure, no joints were smoked in Amsterdam at all. So, no, yeah, man, it was fun. I'm excited to be back. It's good. It's always good to be back, and I love recording these podcasts. You know how it goes. We have good conversations with good people. Speaking of, today was an awesome conversation. It went by so fast. You want to let everybody know with who?
With Lenny. Yeah, we had Lenny, who has...
Lenny the Boss.
Lenny the Boss. Len has a pretty cool story. You guys are going to have to get through it, especially towards the end. You guys, we really open up, which we talk about money at the very end of this episode. So if you guys can, hang tight till the end of this episode because you're really going to get Rafa's understanding of what he cares about when it comes to money. Right, Rafa?
Yeah, Jesse got super deep with us and started a therapy session at the very end. You should have started it from the beginning because the end of the conversation was great. I almost wanted to keep recording another hour and just crop out the first hour because we got deep and it got really good. Lenny's, I love this perspective. I loved what he talked about. I love the way he explains things. I met that dude in Nashville and we hit it off. We hung out the entire event together. I was like, yo, we got to talk. And now he's got his own podcast. I was like, yeah, man, come on in. Let's hang out and have a conversation, which I'm glad he agreed to because it's a great person to bring back to get the episodes rolling again.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think he's a great guest. And I think that everybody out there is going to love this. And me speaking of loving this, please do us a huge solid, you guys. If you can head over to the platforms that you listen to this and just rate us. Doesn't matter if you give us a 1-star, but I would preferably like a 5-star review. That helps us get to more people and the algorithm likes those kinds of things. So do us a solid, right, Rafa? 5-star review.
Yep. We love you all. And, we do this for you guys. Otherwise, we would have stopped the episodes a couple months ago. But they're great. We just like having insights from other good people. And we want you guys to listen to them while we have them. And we want you guys to learn and pick up and implement what you can from it as well. So really hope you enjoy the show. I don't even know there was like no topic behind today. We just wanted to have him on. He's started with a W-2 real estate investor, has a bunch of properties. Now he just kind of travels, starts different businesses, and really good dude all around. So yeah, hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, Rafa here. A lot of you guys have been asking me if I have a course, if I teach, if I mentor my short-term rental business, and the answer is I do actually. I just recently released my very first course. It has about 120 videos. If you're part of the monthly membership, we are adding 2 new videos a month in current issues or projects that I'm working on within the short-term rental business. And we do 1 monthly call live where you have access to me to ask me all the questions you want. So if you're interested in joining the course or if you want any more info, click the link below. It is application only. We only open it to a certain amount of students every month because we want people who are serious, who really want to be a part of this, who actually want to take their short-term rental business and grow it, or are starting from scratch and want to learn how to actually acquire properties doing rental arbitrage. If that's you, if you're serious and you really want to do this, click the link below, schedule a call with me or my team, and we'll get you going. Now back to the show. Lenny, what's up, brother? So happy to have you on here. Before we get started, I want everybody to know Mr. Lenny the Boss here, who also has his own podcast, which is Find Your Freedom. Lenny, let's talk about that really quick before we get started on who you are, what you're about, and what you do.
So not only does Rafa have a microphone that doesn't work or headphones that don't work, he also doesn't have internet connection. So Lenny, welcome to the Big Break Show, my friend.
Hey, fellas, thank you for having me.
Let's give Rafa a hard time today, man. Let's talk about Rafa right now.
No, Rafa's my guy, man. I'm rolling with him. I can't talk about him.
Yeah, let's not. This is the Lenny show today, not the Rafa show.
Yeah, man. I wanted to talk about you today, Rafa. Since you went on vacation, you were gone for like 7 months. I haven't heard from you. We haven't given each other any hugs or anything. So this is weird, man.
Dude, I'm finally back though. So we'll all get out down in San Diego
next week, man. Yeah, I'm excited.
Hey, man, don't leave me out. I'll be there to let me sure I get that hug as well.
Hey, get over there, Lenny. I'm looking forward to seeing you, man. Let's talk about you. Rafa's right. We're not going to talk about each other like this is your hour. So, Lenny, who are you, man? Let us know who you are.
All right, man. Hey, man, I'm Lenny the Boss, Leonard Nesmith, man. I come from humble backgrounds, born and raised in North Philadelphia. I was born and raised to a mother that had 10 children. I was the 10th kid, grew up in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And I sit back and say, how in the world did we do it? But you do what you have to do when you're in that circumstance. But no, man, my mother, I love her. Still alive. She's strongest individual that I know. She raised 10 children, really all by herself, and really proud of that. But, grew up in the neighborhood where it wasn't the best, but I always knew that I wanted a little more for myself. So, I decided to get my act together probably around 9th grade, right? Because everything under that, I was a badass. But, I got my act together, started paying attention in school, decided to go to college and get a job, right? And I got a job during the same time that I went to college. And I didn't know that this job was going to be my career, but it ended up being my career. So I was there, and corporate job made it up to being the vice president of operations there. And I had a staff of over 200 people, responsible for well over $1 billion of AR a year, also responsible for collecting well over $250 million annually for our clients. So it was a big time role. So I was there for 22 years, man, 22 years. And they decided to X me after 22 years of my life. And one beautiful thing that happened there was I had a goal, right? And the goal was just to buy one house a year. And thank God that I did that, because, when that day came, I didn't have to go out and look for another job. So it's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot to unpack. I have a couple questions, because both my parents, both of their families grew up where there were 10 kids in the family. I grew up sharing a bedroom, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I shared a room with my brother. So what was like that living? Did you share a room with like 3 or 4 of your siblings? Like what was that like? And where are you in the sibling lineup? Are you like the middle child? I'm assuming you're the middle child, but you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, actually, no, I'm the 10th kid.
Are you the 10th? Oh, you're the last one.
I'm the last one. It's funny because like a lot of my older brothers and sister friends don't even remember me, right? They like, who is Lenny? Who is this guy? My mother pumped out so many children, they just didn't think another one was coming out, right? But man, it was a little crazy when you sit back and you think about it. Like when you were there, it was fun. But when you think like right now, like it's me, my son, and my wife, and we got like 3.5 bathrooms in our house, right? Like we only had 1 bathroom there. It was like 10 of us. But no, so we had bedrooms, man. My mother had 3 bedrooms, and in 2 of the bedrooms, it was 2 sets of bunk beds. So, and of course, like when I was born and growing up, a lot of my brothers and sisters was a little older. So a couple of them did move out, on their own. But, at any given time, it seemed like while one was moving out, one was moving back in because they might have hit, hard times or something like that. So it was always like a rotating door there as well.
Got you. Was your dad around?
So, what's funny is the image of my father that I have is totally different than the image that my older brothers and sisters have. So my mother had her first 8 children by her first husband, and then had her first 2 children by my father, her last 2. But when my dad came into, my mother's life, he, came during a time where a lot of things was like depressed. That's what they tell me. It was like very depressing in the household. And my father came in and kind of lift everybody's spirits. So all my older brothers and sisters have like this respect for my dad that's like unbelievable. But unfortunately, when I was born, he got hooked on drugs. So he never was in my life. So I never experienced, what everyone else experienced, right? So, my brothers and sisters tell me all the time, oh, your attitude is just like his attitude. You should go talk to him. And I'm like, I don't know him. He wasn't there. So I didn't experience the same things they experienced. So for probably when I turned like 4 or 5, that was kind of it. Kind of him being in my life. That was probably it. Yeah, unfortunately.
Got it. So, and the reason why I asked that is because I feel like, and Rafa, maybe this could be true for you. I feel like I had my dad, up until a few years ago when he passed away, but he really shaped the way my life is, even though this is a weird Hispanic thing. Like, and maybe it's just Rafa's got to have the same thing. The fathers in the Hispanic side are so, it's almost like they're so strong that like they don't even have communication with their own children a lot of time. It's freaking weird, dude. I can't explain it. Rafa, did you have that? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because even though my dad wasn't necessarily, my dad was around all the time, I just didn't have that communication with him until I became older. He still shaped the way that, I am now as an adult. I don't know what it's like to not have a father. I guess I kind of do in a weird way, because he was there, but I didn't really essentially know him in the way that I wanted to until we got older. So did you think that, not having, like a quote unquote father there, was there a fatherly figure for you that kind of helped you in the direction of as you were growing up? Was it your brother?
Yeah, man. All my brothers and sisters all thought they was my dad at some time in life, right? But, honestly, man, I have a lot of friends and they dads was missing in their lives. And when we were young, they had daddy issues, and I never had daddy issues. And I'm not sure if it was because I have older brothers and, they took on like that man role. Like the first job that I got, my brother showed me how to get a job. He's like all my friends, this is what happened. This is how I got my job. I was 16. So my friends all got jobs. And I was like, shit, it's the summertime. Can I swear on here?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
All right, cool. So I'm like, damn, what I'm going to do? Right. So I went to my brother like, oh, man, everybody got jobs. And he'd say, oh, this is how you look up. He grabbed the newspaper and we circled some jobs. And he told me call and told me what to say. And, next thing I know, I went in for a couple of interviews and boom, I got my first job. So, when I think about things like that, really, I was relying a lot on, my brothers to really guide me through, the process. So I never really, spared. But my brothers and sisters all tell me that, my personality and my dad's personality is the same.
So right now they still have a relationship with your father? You're just the only one that doesn't talk to him?
No, actually my dad and I, we talk, we just have a relationship. So, we send a text, happy birthday,
It's super official.
Yeah, we don't sit here and play. Like, I'm not inviting him to my cookouts or anything like that. But honestly speaking, just taking it a little step deeper, I have a son, he's 10. And I talk to my son all the time. I say, hey, if you want to meet your granddad, let me know, because I don't want to jeopardize, my son due to my relationship. It wouldn't be fair to him, and, so whenever my son sits here and say, hey, yeah, then I, get in the car, ride on over there. But yeah, I know where he lives. He know where I live. He shoots me over a happy birthday. When I had COVID, I don't know how in the world he found out, but he shot me over a message. So we just don't have a relationship. That's all.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So yeah, man, I always, and the reason why I ask that is because I always like to dive into like people's lives. I think everybody has such a unique life in a lot of ways that really shapes us as humans and as people, and especially in our business world. And I think like being the last child, like I could tell you right now, like my son that I'm not having any more kids. He's 10 right now. He's treated way different than all the other kids. Like my daughter, when she was born, she's 19 now. Like she was like, everything was fine with her. Then my middle kid came and we're just like, oh, whatever, like he'll figure it out. And then my youngest son, we're just like, we're not nurturing him the way that we did with our first one, because like we already know the steps of it. So I'm just like, all right, dude, get out there, figure it out. Like you'll do it. And it's almost in a way where actually he's nurtured even a little bit more than I would say than the eldest. So do you feel like you have that differentiating thing, like where you were nurtured more as a child than like say your older siblings? Do they say like you had a different world than we did? Do they bring that up?
Yes, it's the topic of conversation every single time all of us get together. Man, on the way my mother treated me versus how they treated, how she treated all my other siblings. And obviously, I don't know. I just know how I was treated, but they know that, they were treated differently. My mom tried to tell them like, it was a different time when I was born. She was in a different position in her life, versus when they were born. They were born in the early 70s and the 60s and, in North Philadelphia, dude, I'm telling you, that wasn't, it wasn't fun. Wasn't fun at all. Totally different. I mean, not that it's fun today there, but it just was a totally different time back then. So,
got you.
Hey, so what's the age difference between the first one and you being the 10th?
That's funny that you asked. A lady at the football field asked me the same thing yesterday. So my oldest sibling, which unfortunately right now she has cancer. She's actually at the cancer center.
Crap.
She is 67, if my math is correct. And I'm 43.
So you got a 23-year gap.
24-year gap. 24-year gap.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so that's quite the gap. With me and my younger brother, we're a 10-year difference. So I have a twin brother, a sister 2 years younger or 1.5 years younger, and then a 10-year younger little brother. So how's the relationship with her being the oldest and you being the youngest like that? Because that's a big jump, right? She was already living a different life when you were born, right? She's already in her mid-20s.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing about it is, so I have a nephew that's older than me. So which is the first grandkid, which is her son. Me and him have a relationship like a bond, right?
Yeah.
With me and my oldest sister is like, she's like my oldest sister. You know what I mean? And then, like me, I'm like this super fun guy, right? And she always was like strict, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not really trying to hang around you. I'm this guy who likes to have fun, like to, be silly, like to sit here and just do a whole bunch of things. And everything with her was like, boom, 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 boom. So, outside of that, but I mean, she's cool. Like, she comes to, when she was able to come to all the, gatherings and stuff like that. And, just like with probably any family, you got your cliques, right? Like I click up with, the individuals that my brothers that are pretty silly and but other than that, like that's the relationship.
She's almost like an aunt, and like your nephew's like a cousin, huh?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's crazy.
Basically, yeah. And the cool thing about it, he actually calls me Uncle Lenny, so in front of everybody, like religiously, he calls me Uncle Lenny, which is pretty cool. But no, we're good. He's a little older than me. He also grew up like a brother as well. So, he calls my mother mom because when he was a kid, all my siblings called her mom. And, obviously it was kind of hard to make the difference of grandmother. So he just grew up calling my mother mom as well.
Gotcha.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, it's so cool to see. Like everybody's got such a different story in life and the way people were raised and all that stuff. I want to kind of jump back real quick before we get into the real estate stuff on this. You said you were at a job for 22 years. Like, did you ever think that job would ever let you go ever in your life serving them for that many amount of years?
What's funny is no. And what happened here is this. So when I got hired, it was privately owned.
Sorry, Lenny, what job was it? Can you give context to the job again?
So it was in the medical billing field. So what we were responsible for was we had contracts with hospitals and physician groups, and we handled their workers' comp and auto billing. So if someone, got injured on a job or got in a car accident and went to one of these facilities, we was the company that was responsible to making sure the state farms and the nationwides and all those guys pay the claims.
You're talking to a skilled nursing facility, like they were going for rehab for whatever injury.
Well, that was part, yeah. Also through ERs, through, doctor appointments. So, so if we contracted with the facility, if that patient came through that facility and it was registered as a workers' comp or auto, then, it would systematically place accounts with us.
Got you. So were you an adjuster there?
No. So basically what we did was, we contacted the adjusters. So we was basically like a extended employees of the business offices to the hospital. So let's just say Joe got into an accident. Joe went to hospital A, right? And, he got his treatment. So hospital A going to generate a bill, right? Mm-hmm. So that's when our company come in, take that bill and submit it to State Farm. And, State Farm want to play games. We duke it out with them until they pay. And then once they pay, the money goes back to hospital A. Then they paid us a commission off of the payment.
Got you. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense now.
Lenny, have you heard of Michael Singer?
Michael Singer. The name sounds familiar.
Completely off topic, but I'm listening to a book. It's called The Surrender Experiment. And he was one of the guys that did the original program software for medical billing. I thought maybe.
Interesting. What was the name? Because like right now, the software that's out there that's crazy is Epic. So
might be the same person. It's still, I don't know. I was just listening to it the other day in the car and it popped in my head when you said you guys do all the medical billing.
Yes.
So I just figured maybe heard about it. Anyway,
jobs like that, they're not going to be around for a long time. Like this whole thing with AI, like right now, you guys is freaking insane. Rafa, we're going to have to do a podcast just on AI.
We're not, do not go into AI right now. We're going to talk about AI for the next, I've been,
I can talk AI crazy.
dude, I'm 12 hours in right now of straight AI. Like Jesse, I wrote our speech for the Midterm Rental Summit. AI just did it all for me. The whole thing, the presentation, the PowerPoints, because I hadn't done it yet. And this is like, can you get it done? I was like, shit. So I went into AI. It's all about Auto GPT now, not Chat GTP now. Anyway, again, we're not getting into this.
Just real quick. So, I host a event every quarter, right? Mm-hmm. And I just came back from North Carolina yesterday. So it was probably, we do it virtually. I go to North Carolina. It's like over 100 people that was on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had a lady come in and speak on Chat GPT, to teach people that for 88 minutes. And she was, the way that she got those prompts, amazing.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts. Got you. Okay, so I was just trying to figure out. So you're at your job were you making like good money there, or was it like were you?
So basically working there, got a job, privately owned. We grew the company. I made it up to vice president of operations. I reported right to the owner, right? And we also had a relationship because obviously we was there for a long period of time, making really, really, really good money. And then he sold in the 18th year, right? So at that point in time, so for 18 years, I always thought that I probably was going to be here for the duration, right? And maybe be the one that buy him out. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then he sold, and he sold to a much bigger organization, and they came in and they were cool. They were really smart, but their direction that they wanted to head into was wrong for our field. So I clashed a lot with my COO because everything she was mentioning, we had a difference of opinion, I guess is the proper way of saying that, right? So after 3 years being there, I knew my time was coming to an end. I just didn't know it was coming to an end when it came.
Got you. Yeah, I think if you're surprised on being let go, it's totally different than when you have like your thoughts on like say you started investing already and you knew like, okay, I'm going to leave on year 4 of this company or whatever. And once I make $10,000 a month, I'm going to jam out. I'm making 5 right now. So did you start investing already at that point?
Well, yeah. Well, let me share a little bit of that journey. So what happened is I had a couple friends that was investing, and this one friend in particular, all he did was complain. So he came to my house, drinking, complaining of tenants and contractors and problems. So it really was like, do I really want to invest? But what I noticed with this guy is he kept buying properties. So I didn't understand. You sit here complaining to me every single day, but you continue to buy properties. So, and I also noticed that they didn't have a better job than I did, right? But they're moving into like this big ass house. They driving better cars, right? They taking all these lavish vacations. And I'm like, dude, I'm starting to think they were doing something that was illegal, right? So I'm like, dude, what's up? And he was like, he really broke it down to me. He was like, hey, it's the real estate that, is allowing them to do these extra things. And I'm like, why are you buying it if you're doing all this complaining? And, he said, you're my friend. I don't have nobody else to complain to. So I'll always complain to you. So that was really my opening up to starting to get real estate. And then obviously I was making really good money, and I decided to abandon like your aunt doing your taxes. And I got I put my big boy pants on, and I got a CPA, right? And at that point in time, he told me that, I need some, tax write-off. So with that, and that's how I kind of got my entry into real estate. And once again, dabbling, right? So I had one goal, right? And at that time, I forgot what year it was, but I decided to say, hey, I'm going to buy a property a year, not really taking it that serious. And which hindsight, it was a small goal, right? But I'm happy that I had it. So I bought properties, and that time came, right, where I was right here, actually. My COO called me or texted me, said, hey, I want to speak to you in the morning. Now, I'm already laying people off left and right. So I kind of had an idea what it was at that point in time. And I came in for my run. I run like 3 to 6 miles a day. And she said, "Hey, Lenny, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah." And I got off the phone. And I guess for the listeners, for the people who can't see this right now, I laid my head back on this chair like this. And I laid my head back probably for about a good 10 seconds. Then I popped up and said, "Shit, I got to find health insurance." So, and I tell that story is because I'm fine. All my mortgages, all my car notes, everything else is all going to be paid, right? Because I had a goal, which was small, but I had one. And I was able to get enough long-term rentals to sit here and pay for my lifestyle, And I always tell people also, like, after I got laid off in April, and then May was my wife's birthday. So we went to Puerto Rico. I think the next month we went to like Miami. Then the following month we went to the Bahamas. So like, because all these things are already planned. And I'm like, babe, we're still going, like, no problem, and yeah, so that's kind of been my life so far.
I love that. Okay, so really quick, because you said you had a goal. I want to talk about your goal when you got to that point. Did you start it prior to you getting let go? Or was it like that goal already set in mind? Or was that goal something that happened because you got let go?
No, the one property a year was before I was let go. And it was really because I needed some, tax breaks. And then obviously everybody wants some extra income, right? And everybody wants some real estate, for two reasons, especially when you're buying your first 2 or 3 is one, you get it for the tax breaks. And 2, you get the little bragging rights, right? Oh, yeah, I got some real estate. I'm this landlord dude, you get the bragging.
I'm a real estate investor. Well, okay. I got to ask you though, how many properties did you have at that point where you got let go?
So I had 7.
Okay. And was that one a year still, or did you go beat that out?
Yes, correct. So, and what I did was my strategy was a lot different from a lot of different people. So when I purchased these homes, I went for really high cash flow properties for my long term. So, like I off of one house, I'm probably making at least a minimum, maybe of $700. That's like my lowest one.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought this up because I want you to talk about what your strategy around that was, because most people always want to get into real estate investing, but they have no idea how. Were you buying turnkey? Were you doing full fix and flip rehabs? Like how did that look? And what made you be like, okay, I think I'm going to buy this house because it's going to cash flow $700?
So this was my strategy. I met this guy. He had probably about 84 properties. And I went to this event. I don't know if it was a birthday party or if it was black tie. No, I had a black tie on. And he talks like this. I never forget this way. He's taller than me. I'm kind of looking up at him. And, he's like, "Lenny, look around." Like, we at this gorgeous place. We had like this, we had like this, like people have weddings at this place. He's like, "Lenny, look around." Like, I got my drink in my hand. I'm like, "The fuck is this guy talking about?" And he's like, "Always remember, whatever you buy can always look like this." And that opened my eyes. I said, shit, so regardless of what property you buy, you can make it look like what you want. And that's what he was explaining to me. So with that being said, I took on this strategy of, I'm from the hood. And I started to look and find out, where is the next place a lot of people are moving from? So everybody living in the hood, where's that place that they going? So I found a little place where a lot of people were moving from. It was like the get out the hood, the next level up. And when people are getting out the hood, they don't want to go back. So they're going to pay the rent, right? So I start looking in those areas. At the time, a lot of those properties were pretty cheap, under $50,000. So I was just buying them up. My very first property I purchased, it had no bathroom, it had no floors, it had no kitchen. So I had to, redo the whole thing. But I the only turnkey that I purchased, which I wound up rehabbing anyway, was a duplex. That was it. But everything else I purchased. And what I tried to do is I tried to make sure that it had an operational bathroom and a kitchen, because I knew that that's the way that you can get a mortgage. So a lot of people was like, "Oh, you can't get a mortgage, for properties with a carrier note for under $50,000. That's a damn lie. You just got to call 25 banks to find the right one, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So what I was doing was I was able to put down a very low down payment. Like, I bought one house for probably about $38,000, right? But I mortgaged it because the bathroom was working and the kitchen was working, but this was a shithole. And when I mean a shithole is I only can stay in the house for about 2 minutes before I had to walk out the house to get some air. That's how bad it was. It was roach infested. Like if you open the windows, roaches was kind of falling out the windows, dude. Like it was the nastiest house, but I was able to put down $11,000, right? So I put down $11,000, which was the down payment and whatever closing cost it was. And then I put $20,000 into it. So I put $20,000 into it, fixed it all up, and boom, that property been great to me ever since then. But I've been buying properties like that. So that's been my strategy, looking for where is the next place people are moving out of the hood, buying the properties there. And I also I live in New Jersey. In New Jersey, they have really high taxes. So I was looking at places that had, where in New Jersey have the lower taxes, but really high rents, because that's going to be your delta for your cash flow. And so that's kind of was my strategy. So I found a little nugget and I was able to go in there. And if I was smarter, I would have bought the whole damn neighborhood, but I only bought one property a year. So
I guess that's not luck, right, Rafa? If you're just like being calculated, skating.
No, I wasn't lucked out at all. Yeah, there was no luck at all. He saw where he was going and he saw the market. He saw the neighborhood. He knew the location. So I want to go into the numbers into this little property of yours, because if you put 11,000 down, you mortgaged it at 38, you put 20 grand into it, right? What was your mortgage payment look like? What kind of rent did you get? And have you looked into what it's valued at now?
Oh yeah, that's great questions. So, all right, first thing, yes. So I knew what rents were. Remember, I'm looking in areas where rents are high, taxes are low, and it's low for New Jersey, even though they're still high, right, compared to other places. So I knew that if I mortgaged this place, I think the mortgage was at the time, $450 or something like that. And I was getting, I think, $1,300 in rent when I first put it out on the market. Yeah. Then fast forward the story. So you figure 3 years later, right? This house appraised for $38,000, I believe, or $32,000, I think, originally. And then obviously during I call real estate comes in waves, I say, and right now we was in the appreciation wave, right? So I capitalized on it. The house appreciated for $160K. So I went ahead and refinanced the property, right? And at the time my tenant was moving, right? And because we are in the inflation market, rents are up. So I took my $1,300 up to $1,850.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now we can say you got lucky on that little part, I guess, right? Jeez.
Well, I mean, it's real estate. Are we lucky? Everybody's house is appreciated. Whoever refinanced won.
I love that. That's great.
I can tell you this, Lenny, you're sure as hell not going to find that deal now.
That's the reason why I tell everybody you have to buy now, because real estate comes in waves. So we had what waves we had? We had the interest rate wave, right, where money was super cheap. So you either did one or two things. You either refinanced your home, right, that you had, which obviously put more money in your pocket, or you went ahead and purchased another property because money was so cheap to borrow. And then right after that came the appreciation wave, right? So it's all different waves that comes in real estate. You got to buy now, make sure your numbers were cash flow sum. You don't have to cash flow as much as I was, but cash flow sum, and hold your property until one of those waves come. It's coming. History tells you that it's coming. What's coming, we don't know, but it's coming. And when it do, you have to be in position to say, hey, yeah, that's just like I tell people now, look, 7% interest rate, great. Not great, but it sucks. But if your numbers still work, buy the property, because you're going to, those interests going to come down at some time. And when it do, then you go ahead and you take advantage of it, and you're going to put some more extra money in your pocket, so.
I think right now is a really difficult time because Rafa probably runs numbers on stuff all the time. I can tell you right now, in California, even the Central California I'm at, I can't find anything right now that I could buy that would work as a long-term rental, even putting 20% down.
Not California.
Yeah, I'd be losing money. And I'm not a guy that invests out of state. I'm not one of those guys. I want to keep my money in California. I know people are always hating on that. I haven't met enough people that are investing in other areas. And I guess maybe I have, but I want to keep my money here. But I think that's the thing too, Rafa and Lenny both. Like for right now, an investor to come in and say you buy in Kansas or somewhere in the Midwest, like you're not going to get the appreciation. You might get cash flow, right? But you might not get the appreciation part of it. So I think right now is definitely a different time. I've actually talked to investors that have told me like I'm buying stuff, even if we're at a negative of $200, like I'm still picking it up because we're holding it a longer term. And like for me, my brain is like, why would you pick something up that's going to be negative now? But everybody has different investing, maybe they're going for appreciation.
Well, it goes down to what everybody's at in that point in time. Like,
Yes.
they know that the negative cash flow thing is like with multifamily, right? When you buy multifamily, you don't make any money up front on any cash. There's no cash flow. You make money on the acquisition fee. And then over time, when it starts getting stabilized and rents start getting increased and mortgages starts getting paid down, that cash flow significantly increases. That's why you see that time sheet going up year over year over year. So those type of investors know that in 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to have 10, 12,
Yes.
$100, $1,500 of positive cash flow every single month. So the purchase price or not doesn't matter. They're just taking advantage of the fact that they can buy it now either at a good rate or at what the numbers that make sense for them down the line. Like that's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you're going. If you need cash flow now, that's probably not the good strategy for you. You need to go into a market where you're going to be cash flow heavy. But if you're in a market like here in California, where it's all about appreciation, then you're going to make no cash flow up front. You're going to get the appreciation, but in 10, 12 years, you're going to get both the cash flow and you're going to have that appreciation that's gone through the roof. But it's going to cost you a really large sum up front now to be negative. And if you can weather that, then you're going to be in a very good position 10, 15 years down the line, but not now. So it just depends on where you're going.
It all up to your goals in your position because, look, if you're an individual that want to leave your W-2, then obviously that strategy is probably not going to be right for you, right? You're going to need a strategy where you're going to need, high cash flow and income properties. And they're out there, it's just, is just you have to find them. And if you're willing to be like for me, like that neighborhood or the neighborhoods I'm going to say that I invested in, is not a B area. You know what I mean? They're C areas, but those properties were going for $20,000, $30,000. I should have bought them all, and but now they're going for $160, $170, $180. That's 4 years later, and same neighborhood, same school districts, same, police force, same parks, there's nothing that came there that, Disney, invested in an area where now everything, nothing, and it just the real estate wave. But for me, I didn't really care too much about the property value. Honestly, I looked at that for, a bonus with the cherry. I just was interested in cash flow. So I was like, hey, they cash flow, great, boom, bang, and I'm good.
Got you. Did you jump into short-term rentals too? Or like, where are you at with that now?
Yeah, I did. So purchased a few short-term rentals in Tennessee, right? So we got a couple cabins out there, 2 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom cabins, and also have we about 2 minutes. So if you from the door to feet on the sand in Myrtle Beach property.
Wow.
That's a 4-bedroom, 3 baths.
Do you have a property manager that manages those?
No, actually, we're managing ourselves. Even my long-term rentals, I manage them myself. So I had a goal to open up a property management company. I think I'm swaying from that goal now. So some things probably going to be changing in the future. But as of right now, we're managing them. Yeah, I manage all my long-term rentals, and I have a one partner on my short terms. Then we split the responsibility.
Yeah, Rafa's trying to manage your portfolio right now.
I'm trying to get out of it.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
Well, so the thing with me is like it's semi-passive anyway because everything's kind of streamlined, but it's not something that's gonna feed me and stay alive I was just thinking about this last night, but for the next 15, 20 years. I'm not gonna be doing this in 20 years. I just want to own the properties and have them pay me. I don't want to have to deal with any systems, processes, any of that shit. So I'm slowly implementing to the point where I'm slowly just removing myself away 100%.
From management?
From any of it. I want to be 100% passive.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Nothing, but you put in your dues. Put in your dues, man.
Yeah, that's what matters,
You put in your dues. No, that's awesome. But yeah, man. So we manage them like my long terms, my tenants are great. Like, they don't bother me much. I have a whole system on how I bring tenants in, a whole speech. I wish I had Chat GPT back then, but I got a whole way of how I screen. And like, I never even evicted anybody. I had 10 years being in real estate, 0 evictions, dude. I only had one tenant where I did pay her out to leave. That was it. But so something I'm doing is right. And I just reduplicate the model. I have a way that I look at, tenants when I bring them in, and I give a whole speech up front on how we're going to handle the issues, right? So if you have an issue, this is the way you go about it, and this is the time frame that someone's going to get back in contact with you, and they all good with that. Sign off on it, sign the lease, boom, they get the keys.
It's awesome. So you're basically living off your investments right now. Was that it? Or do you have anything else you're doing right now, Lenny?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So one, when I really start loving real estate with this one thing. So my wife and I was both working, and you guys know me. I'm this happy dude, right? And I run a happy household here. And, she was having a really tough time at her job. She actually reported to the president where she was working, and they was bumping heads. Her president was not nice. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And so, and at the time we were saving a lot of money. And I probably wasn't being the best husband. I was being an asshole. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'm like, she coming home miserable. I want to quit. I'm like, oh, baby, but look at the bank account. Look how much money we're saving. Stick in there, hun. You can do it. So I'm rooting her on, this way. And one day she came home with a lot of tears in her eyes. And I felt like shit. I was like, damn, I'm sitting here, looking at this money and not really sitting here considering her feelings. And I came down here, to my magic box, I like to call it. I looked over, what the revenue was, what we was bringing in for our income. And we was bringing in, I think, just the same amount or a little bit more than what she was making. And then I went upstairs and told her, just put in your 2 weeks, right? I said, that's it. So that was a very proud moment for me to sit there and be able to tell my wife that, she don't have to, go to a job that she's having trouble at, and what that allowed to do was now she put her 2 weeks. She had to stay like 3 weeks to a month, I think, due to her position and role. And now she opened up, so we have 2 cleaning businesses that we opened up. She runs both of them. And so she's an entrepreneur as well. She was actually, I was still W-2'd when she was doing that. So, we run, they were doing really well. Then COVID came, we wasn't on the side of the line where we benefited from it. We was on the other side. So we kind of rebuilding that back up. But that, and right now I'm also building another company right now. So it's in infant stage, and it's basically, it's going to be an internet-based company, basically a lead gen company where we're going to get a bunch of leads and sell them things. So that's what I'm working on behind the scenes.
Nice, man. You gonna do wholesaling or what?
No. No, sir. So this business has nothing to do with real estate.
Nothing to do with real
right.
estate.
So, yeah. So I joined this mastermind of someone who got this really, really, really successful business, and it's really tied to like a subscription plan type of business. So what happens here is, you create, a digital product, and he has a way on how you create it. So I'm going through all the modules right now. And after you create it, you create a membership plan, and then I'm up to the point where I'm creating my membership plan. So now I'm about to be on the part of now working on getting my leads in and start to do advertising. So in that kind of way to get them in and get to this subscription plan. And believe me, if everything works, dude, it's going to be extremely lucrative. So
that's awesome, man. Well, good luck. Good luck to you, Leonard. You have to keep us posted on that. I want to jump back real quick on something that you mentioned about your wife and the job and the money and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people do this to a certain degree. You were heavily focused on the financial side rather than like the emotional side from your wife. Do you feel like that was like you were just focused on the money, and then it took that like experience for your wife to come home like crying before you like actually became and maybe this is me, like I just got off a therapy session right now. So I'm coming off that, where you actually like internally looked at yourself and then looked at your wife and like realized, okay, this is the bank account, and then here's like I'm present right now what my wife is saying, instead of like being tractor beam focused on the financial part.
Yeah, see, yes, and to a certain extent, right? And I felt really guilty about that because I'm an individual who is a happy dude. Like I would sit here and say, hey, look, you got two options, 10 million or 3 million. 10 million would be you're not happy, and at 3 million you're happy. I'm the 3 million guy.
All right. What about 100,000? What about 100,000? You're happy and getting 10 million.
Yeah, do we got to talk about some things? I don't know. Inflation, they came up and blew 100,000 out the water, right? But so I'm that guy. So we came up with this plan on how we was saving money. It was fairly new. It was probably like 6 months in, and it was working. Like we was really saving a lot of income, and we had a goal, and we were getting there. And and I'm like, and like I even teach people like, look at your goal, right? And that will get you through whatever situation that you're in, because you're only in this situation. And once you get to your goal, you can change it. So that's kind of was my outlook, but I wasn't really supposed to take that with my wife. That's my wife, and that's what it was. I had to dial myself back, right? Because I like to reflect. So I do this thing called Reflection Fridays, where I sit in this office for about 30 minutes and I reflect on everything I've done for the week, from business to my relationship with my son, and things that I can, do better, say better, even with things with my wife. And I had just a reflection moment, and I just said, this is shit. I'm supposed to be the king, and this is not the way that a king, treats his queen, right? And with that being said, I had to straighten myself out. So, I'm big on accountability. So, I was wrong. And I'm okay with that. And so I live by this quote, right? So there's two primary choices in life. You, one, live with the conditions the way they exist, or two, be the responsible party for the one that changed it. And I was two. Like anytime that like I see where we existing here, and then I'm going to be the one that changes it. So with that situation, I realized that I was wrong, and I had to go in and I had to change it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I love the idea of your Reflection Friday thing. Absolutely love that. What were some of the things that came across your mind as you were doing that? Like, how did that conversation look with your wife? Like, how was the whole, like, subject of it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And, I knew that if I start off with saying, put in your 2 weeks, I knew that was going to be an icebreaker, right? And everything else for me was going to be pretty easy, because that's the ultimate goal, is to leave this damn job, right? So, when I thought about it, I looked at our bills, because that's what it was all about, right? Like, fuck the savings, right? It's like, can we still live? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like, we got some savings, and with our bills coming in, can we still, like, my big thing is I never want my son to see a difference with anything. So, he's in like 16 different damn sports right now. Like me and my wife got to have a meeting just to plan a damn calendar around his life, right? So for me, I knew that if I lead with, hey, babe, put in your 2 weeks, I knew that the conversation can be great, right? So that's what I did. I led with that. And then I started to explain, my reasons behind it. And I apologized. And I told her I was being an asshole, and here's my reasons why I was being an asshole, and it wasn't right, and I'm here just to say sorry. Then I buttered her up, gave her a couple kisses,
Hey, you're owning it, man.
Most people just want, just to give you 2 weeks notice could be a hard conversation for a lot of people, because some people like, just to get to that point, it's very, very scary or difficult for a lot of people, right? I know Jesse didn't want to quit his job for like 5 years after he started investing. And like, even when we met, he still was like, I can't quit my job. So it was like, was that easy because you knew the situation of her job, or was that something that like you kind of had to ease into prior to that conversation?
I knew for her it was going to be easy. She was like, it was bad, and I also knew other people who knew her president, who she reported to. So I was kind of out in the field talking, like we always linked up golf courses. I don't really play golf like that, but I had to go to all these golf houses. And, and people be like, oh, she's an asshole, or blah, 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 blah. So I already had an idea. Then my wife coming home, miserable every day, then it's reflecting on us, right? Like she's coming here and my son's saying something, she's snapping a little bit, and he really don't deserve that, but it's coming from a different area. And, for her, like she already wanted to quit. She's like, oh, leave this job. I'm the one, the asshole. Rafa, the asshole, was sitting here saying, stick in there, hun. Look at the bank account.
Suck it up. Look at the numbers grow.
Yeah, look at the numbers, bro. We're almost there.
Just one more zero. Oh,
I got a question for you right now, man. And actually, I want to ask both of you and Rafa this. I'm going to go to Rafa first. You know what? I'm going to ask Rafa. Does money matter?
I knew you were going to ask me that. You know what's so funny? So, dude, it's funny how things just work out. It's nuts. Literally, 2 days ago, I'm sitting there. I was in the shower, taking a shower, and I'm like reflecting on everything I've done. And
You tell us that's what you were doing in the shower, bro. You don't got to lie.
I swear, aside from washing my hair and, scrubbing my back.
Your body.
So I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, dude, because again, I'm trying to step away, and I'm like, okay, I need to get to this passive stuff. And anyway, I'm thinking the point I'm getting at is my entire life, money has never been a driver, but it's been the reason why I keep working, because I need the money to support the lifestyle I want to live. Yeah. But here's the funny part is that I've been in situations in my life where I've made very little money and I've been so happy and comfortable that I didn't even care. And then I've been in situations in my life where I've had so much money to where I've done so many great things to the point where I drained it and came back to no money and I still didn't care. Yeah. I've always lived my life based around I want to say income or revenue that I've made at that point in time. Right. Because I can make $100,000 tomorrow and go and below it and invest some of it and then just have an awesome time, but then make $1,000 later and still be super comfortable and be like, okay, well, that's what I have right now. And these are the means that I have to live off of. And I'm good with that. I've lived on couches. I live in an awesome house. The only difference now is I have other people that depend on me. So I can't live that way anymore. Right? I have employees. I have people in my business. I have my dog, my girlfriend, this place. I have people around me now that depend on the income to keep coming in. So now I can't just be like, well, screw it. No big deal. So it depends on the situation and how you're looking at it. Money matters because the people that rely on me to make sure that they keep going. But if it was just me 100%, I wouldn't give a crap if I'm making $200 a week or if I'm making $5,000 a week. I'd be happy living my life, man.
So you're saying money matters. Okay.
Yeah, no, it matters. It matters on what you're going to do with it and what it's about. It only matters because I have people around me that depend on me to live.
Got it. Are you a millionaire right now, Rafa? Yeah.
No.
Rafa's a millionaire.
I'm going to say no.
I believe Rafa's a millionaire. So you're saying you don't care about money?
No, I mean, like I told you, I personally, it's never been a driving factor for me. I do it because it's the people that depend on me, and then I don't want to be all stressed out because I know I have people to take care of.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. There's a huge difference in between it. That's why I want to make it there's a clear defining line down the middle.
Yeah.
And that clear defining line down the middle is me on the left and everybody around me on the right.
Got it.
And if money is coming down the middle, it's always going to lean towards, yes, it matters because all the people on the entire right side matter more than me on the left side. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so I have to make sure that those people are being taken care of and that they're succeeding and that they're being able to feed themselves, feed their family, and are able to succeed and thrive based on what I've done and created. I can't just shut it all down and say, well, I don't care if I don't make any money, because then that affects way more people than myself. So yeah, it 100% matters.
Do you think you're at some point you're ever going to turn around and look at yourself and be like, I've been doing this stuff for everybody else, and you're not looking at your own personal... And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I literally just had a conversation with my therapist about this today. Literally, I hopped off this call just to get on this call. And
so first we need to have Jesse get more therapy sessions before so we can drop them on us during our podcast recordings, because this is pretty good. But no. Okay, so go back to your question.
And I'm bringing this up because it took me freaking years, dude, before literally at 40 now, I'm finally starting to look inward. And I know that sounds cliche and boring and whatever. Everybody's talking about that kind of crap now. When you do stuff for everybody else for so long, you become kind of bitter in a way because you're neglecting your own self in a lot of ways. And that's why I'm bringing that up. And there's a correlation between income. And this is me right now. Lenny, we'll get into you. In my therapy session today, I was like, my entire life, I realized that as a child, I remember being a little kid, 9 years old, playing in the backyard, pretending to be a baseball player. I was like, I can't wait to make $1 million one day. And then that's what I thought happiness was. And then you get to that point where you make $1 million, or you have you're making good money, and you sit there and you realize I've been doing all this stuff for everybody else, and I'm not actually money doesn't even matter at the end of the day. What brings me the most happiness? Really watching my kids grow up, and then serving, being able to have somebody learn something from me. That's more important to me than money. So but again, at the end of the day, we need it. So it's this weird freaking paradox.
Yeah. Well, so hold on a second though, because see, here's the thing. You're not going to get to the $1 million by yourself. Yeah, anybody who serves others will always get to that point without even wanting to.
Right.
You serve enough people and you do enough for the people around you, you will in turn always get wealthier and become better off. So we cannot sit here and say, hey, I made this money by myself because of everything I did. Sure, you're the one that got in and put the plan of action in place and did the actionable steps to get there, but it didn't happen by yourself. It happened with all the people around you. There's not one person you can say out there that can say that they did it themselves 100%. Without anybody around you. Whether you came up with the product, you needed people to consume it. Whether you went about a property, you needed people to help you get that property up and running. You needed an agent. Everything needs to be done around other people. So serving other people is what's going to get you to that wealth. Yeah. And when you get to that wealth, you need to in turn use it to serve other people, because then it's going to continue to grow. And that's how you're going to get wealthy. So yeah, along the way, you have to take care of yourself. You always have to do it. You always have to take care of yourself along the way. But you can't just sit there and be greedy and say it's all about me. Yeah, fuck yeah, I just got back from Paris for 2 weeks.
You said it was away for 9 months, man.
I know. I'm just checking in. You know what? Maybe this is me projecting right now. Like, I'm not taking care of myself. That's what I'm doing.
You think so? I tell you this shit every time we talk.
Lenny, does money matter?
I really enjoy what Rafa said. You know, he's right, in my opinion. You know, a couple of things. It's this movie named Creed. It's not even a movie. It's like a show, whatever. Greed. And I watched this as a younger fella in school. And what it was about was they was interviewing 2 type of people. And they were all like hundreds and hundreds of $1 million worth, right? And one person built their empire because they love money, right? But they made a whole bunch of people rich because of it, right? And then another person built their empire because they actually like to serve people, you know. And the show was about who's right or who's wrong, you know. Mm-hmm. And when I was watching this, I was saying, well, both of them are right, because it's whatever you want to do, you know, with your life. Because at the end of the day, just like Rafa said, they served so many people that they changed so many zip codes. You know, people was able to change so many zip codes within them, you know, growing, you know, their businesses. And then I heard Warren Buffett say something, right? So Warren Buffett said, you know, everybody do the same thing. He said, hey, you fly on an airplane, I fly on an airplane. You drive a car, I drive a car. You live in the house, I live in the house. He said, money just makes it slightly different. He said, I might just fly private, you might just fly commercial, right? I might drive, you know, a Mercedes-Benz, you might drive a Honda Accord, right? I might live in this, you know, extravagant house, you might live in a 3-bedroom home. But we all, at the end of the day, are doing the same thing. And that put a lot of things in perspective for me. As a person who comes from $0, you know, who we looked up to was drug dealers on the corner, right? Because they were the individuals who had all the cars. They was the individuals who had all the girls. They was all the individuals who had all the money, right? So money for us was the driver, right? So everybody wanted some money. So as I grew up and started to get out of my environment, and you start to read more, you start to be in different circles, and you start to also mature yourself, you start to realize that money is not the end all, right? But it's needed, you know. And one lady, she explained to me was this. She said, you know, her in-laws are so fucking rich, right? That she said, Lenny, let me get an idea of how rich they are. She told me the only way that you can retire is if you have at least $20 million in the bank, cash liquid. And if you retire with $20 million cash liquid, you're broke retired. So just to give you an idea, that's how rich these individuals are, right? And she said what she have noticed is that money allow you to do really one thing. It just gives you a whole bunch of options. That's it. It gives you a ton. When you have this much money, this is how much options. And when you think about it, think about when you go to the restaurant, right? So when you go to the restaurant and you sit there and say, hey, this is how much money I have, then what side of the menu are you looking at, right? Are you looking at the steaks that cost $75? Or are you looking at, you know, something that's going to be, you know, much more within your budget? But at the end of the day, we all going to eat. And I think that you have to personally be, you know, satisfied. So initially in my life, I was one of those guys saying, oh my God, I need, you know, $50 million, blah, 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 blah. then as I'm growing up, I'm saying this. So this is me. I'm designing my life. I'm actually doing this as we speak. I'm designing my life for what I want it to be, right? I'm going to say, this is what I want my life to be. And then I'm going to say, how much money do I need to afford this life? So that's where I'm at with mine. So to answer the question, I'm at a point in my life where I'm noticing that, being with my son and being with my wife and being able, my mother's been sick, and being able to take my mother to her doctor's appointments. She go to doctor's appointment every 2 weeks. I'm there. I go she lives in Philly, hour away. I go pick her up. We get the wheelchair. We get the oxygen. We go to the hospital. I'm able to do all that shit. And I'm noticing that shit don't take no money, but it takes me $5 to cross the bridge, a little bit of gas money, and whatever lunch me and my mom decide to eat, which is pennies, because we're not sitting here eating that, Del Frisco's, right? So, so with that being said, what matters is that and I'm noticing that. However, I do like shit, right? Personally, let me get back to me, right? I like shit. And what I also noticed was that, and I was talking to my cousin about this when I was in North Carolina over this past weekend, is that I noticed that a lot of things I do are selfish. However, within my selfishness, so many people are able to benefit from it. And I ran a test because, my wife, she's Puerto Rican, right? And I love Puerto Rico. So we were supposed to go to Puerto Rico for New Year's one year. And I'm normally the one that kind of put this shit together. And I let somebody else do it, right? And they failed miserably. But guess what? Because they failed, we didn't go. So I didn't get the benefit, and I realized that if I would have put this shit together, right? I would have went, my wife would have went, my sister-in-law, she got 4 kids, they all would have went. Her other girlfriend with her 3 kids would have went. My sister and her son would have went. All of us would have went. If I just would have said, hey, let me do it. So I noticed that my selfishness helps so many people out. So I don't know if selfish is the right word I should be using, but that's the only word that I know until somebody tell me something different.
Well, it's I'm gonna say this: it's you taking care of yourself, and those around you just benefit. It's not you being selfish; it's just you doing what you want to do. I can relate to you on that point because every time I go on a trip, everybody around me gets to go with me, and it's just a part of being in that circle of life that you have. So it's not yourself. I wouldn't call it that you're selfish. I think you just know what you like, you know what you want, you work for that goal, and lucky the people around you get to benefit and eat from that same table.
Yeah, and this goes back to my friends too. All my buddies, there have been times when they didn't have it. And I'm like, all right, can you get off work? I got you. You know what I mean? It's no problem, and I'm all about fun. I'm all about collaborating, fun, because you get us all in the room with smart people. Something smart going to come out. The ROI going to come out maybe 2-3 years later, but it comes, and so that's what I'm all about though. So hopefully, Jesse, I answered your question though.
You know what? That was a good 20 minutes of conversation. I think that sometimes, this has been something that's been weighing on me for a long time. It really has. Maybe we'll talk about it, Rafa, when we meet, when we have that little mastermind together. So I think there's so many different parts of it. And again, it's like Western culture is really thought of money as being the be all end all. But in fact, Lenny, right now, just real quick, I know we're an hour already. 2 things that bring you the most joy. Right now, the first 2 things that come to your head, just quick.
Taking care of my mom, right? That brings me the most joy. And the second thing is being able to be there for my son. Those are the 2 things. And when I say be there, I mean, go to the football games, the football practice, and take them all these places. When I look on the field, I don't see sometimes other parents or dads or there. So that makes me, those are 2 things that come to my mind that's always at the forefront. So anybody ever ask me that question, this is the first 2 things that going to come out.
Gotcha. Rafa, what about you?
I was hoping you didn't ask me. How the fuck don't come to me? All right. No, me is the fact that I get to spend my time with my family and friends at the flip of a dime without anybody telling me otherwise. I get to choose and pick who I hang out with when I hang out with them. That's number 1 and number 2, because I get to do what I want with them and I get to pick who I do it with. So that's 1 and that's 2. Aside from that, my really close relationships.
Got it. So none of those involve money at all. 0.
Well, I mean, if they have a correlation with money, because what Lenny said, right? I can't do what I want when I want with who I want unless I have the funds there to back it up. Otherwise, yeah. But here's the difference. I can do what I want when I want with who I want, but it's not going to be to a level of what I want to do it at. Because we can all hang out together at the park and be free and have an awesome time. Yep. Or we can all hang out together in Puerto Rico, everything paid for on a yacht by the fucking island.
Okay, but
You know what I'm saying?
here's where your two thoughts are contradictive right now. And this is me being a therapist for you, Rafa. You said that you were the happiest when you didn't have very much money. And then now you're the happiest when you're able to do things that involve money.
No, because we're talking about two different things. I told you when I'm by myself, I don't need to have money.
Got it.
But I'm talking about being with people around me. That shit requires money, because if that other person next to me can't do it, I want to be able to provide that for them to be able to do it with me. That's the difference, right? I can go and kick it at the park with the blanket and hang out with my dog and be fine with the book. Yeah. But if I want to invite someone else to come and do it with me, they can't take the day off, I need to cover the day's salary for them to come kick it with me next to the park just to do shit. Yeah. Therefore, the money needs to be there to be provided for it. The money is a tool to provide the experiences during the free time, because we all have the free time. We can all quit our job today and have the free time, the freedom of time that everybody looks for. Yeah, but the freedom of time that you're looking for is going to be without the experiences to enjoy with that freedom of time.
The most important thing Rafa just said is that money is a tool.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Money is a tool, and you have to be able to use it. So it's either in your toolbox or it's not. Hey, have you ever went to go fix something and that tool wasn't there? Right? You know, that's the feeling of when you want to do something, you have the money.
I can't even I don't even own tools, bro. You can't look at these hands, dude. Look at these hands.
But that's it, right? It's like, it's a tool, and you want to be able to reach into your toolbox and be able to resolve whatever in front of you. You know,
I just realized right now in this call that I need to be Rafa's friend so he can just fucking pay for my days off, and then I need to just go with him wherever he's going to go. Rafa, you're going to pay for me to do that, bro? Because I'll be your best friend if you do that.
No, I know you're making a ton of money. Actually, you should pay me for me to go do that with you, asshole. You should be the opposite here. Oh man, that is funny,
dude. Well, you want to get to the top of the? We're like 20.
Yeah, we're having such a good conversation. It went by so fast. I didn't even realize until you said that we were already there. I was like, oh shit, we're already at an hour. Yeah, I mean, we could go on forever. So, Lenny, we gotta get to this because it's got to end at some point, right? So, tell us, being that this is the big break show, we want to know, what was your big break, man? Was it you getting laid off? Was it you finding that first property? Was it you realizing what money being a tool was? Give us what your big break was in life.
Hang on, Lenny. Or was it your older brother smacking you around all the time when you were younger?
That's a whole nother conversation where y'all guys bring me back, hopefully. My big break, I'm gonna be honest, man, was actually being a W-2 employee. And the reason behind it is because it grew me up. I had to grow up. I got into a management position and I had to manage people, grown folks, and one thing happened there that was very special is that, as I started to make money and the company started to make money, there were some people you brought in who was younger or just didn't have the money living with their parents. And as I, provided the help that they needed to sit there and start to make money, they was able to sit here and make enough money to buy better cars, to move out of their parents' homes. And that is what stuck with me, is that, wow, I'm making an impact in someone's life. You see people who originally park all the way in the back of the parking lot, don't really want you to see them pull up in the car that they have. And then when they go get another car, they were driving past you, beeping the horn, to sit there and make sure that, you see them now because they have a better car. And that right there was when I think that the distance between the money and serving people started for me. So I think that, and it also started to open my eyes up to life is just about helping people, right? And there's more people that you help, you're going to just benefit from it anyway. Somehow, some way, God opens up a door somewhere for you, and I've been living by that. So I think getting a W-2 job has been really my big breakthrough. We
never heard that one before.
Yeah, I think you're the first to say that.
Definitely the first to say that. So Lenny, given your insightfulness right now, right, for all this last hour and 6 minutes, an actionable step that somebody could take today after listening to this episode.
Man, I think that depending on their situation, I'm always an individual that sit there and say you got to do something with, your mindset, right? And so an actionable step would be to go get a book called The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins, right? Because that rule will sit here and allow you to take action. So regardless of who you are and where you are in your life, you always need to take action. You always need to pour into yourself. And I would say, go get that book. It'll help you take action.
Nice.
Love it. I thought you were going to say go get a W-2 job.
Well, listen, I'm not mad at people who work. I tell them that I don't need W-2 money to fund your real life that you want to live. It worked out for me. You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at that, but being at that W-2 job allowed me to see, life a little differently. And I think that the way that I respect things today is due to that experience. So that's something that I'm happy that I was able to go through. I'm happy that I saw the things that I saw. I'm happy that I was able to help so many different people, go from living in the basement of their mother's home to their own apartment to putting their kids through college. I was a part of that. You know what I mean? So that means something to me, regardless if it's a W-2 or I own the joint. I know what my hands and my brains did at that organization. And I know what I did for people. So that really touched me. Like it really do. Really do.
It's awesome. Now, where can people find you, Lenny?
Man, you know what, man? I'm heavy on, not heavy, but I'm on social media. You can, find me on Facebook. You can find me on IG. So you can just go to lennytheboss.com/IG or go to lennytheboss.com/Facebook and friend request me. Follow me, got some questions, hit me up in the DM. I'll be here to answer them.
So we started the episode with talking about Find Your Freedom, and you never answered. So let's just end it with Find Your Freedom. Tell people about that.
Yeah, so Find Your Freedom, man, that's a podcast that we just opened up top of the year, 2023, me and my co-host. And really, it's just about that. It's about individuals who found their freedom. So a person, and you can find your freedom within your W-2 job as well. So people who, went through their W-2 job and decided to leave and start their own, journey. And we just bring people on to tell their story, and hopefully their story can inspire someone else to, take the leap, take the jump.
Love it, man. Well, there it is, folks. Lenny grew up in Philly, was smacked around by his older brother. He's got an aunt that's a sister, and he's got a nephew that's older than him. And here he is today, living the dream. Money matters to Lenny, but only under context. And Rafa. So, there it is, folks. You just heard it all today. We've heard it all.
I'm gonna stop letting you end the shows. I swear. Oh, that was great.
Oh, it's awesome.
Lenny, thanks for being on, man. This was great.
No, thanks, fellas. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun, man. Y'all guys are super awesome.
Take care, dude.